people who go to do things, you know, under cover of darkness are afraid of light. So if you come, you know, at midnight, I'll be there with my headlights glaring. If you are a democratic country with a constitution that has a Bill of Rights, you have to enforce those rights, and people must enjoy certain basic freedoms that are allowed by the law. Until you suspend that constitution or you change the provisions that entitle people to certain basic rights, I will use that constitution to try and ensure that people get those rights. I may not always succeed, but I will try. And I'll keep trying, and I'm not going to stop.
The fact that she exists and does what she does is a force for good insofar as it's an amazingly good example to other people. Because really, you know, when people are under siege in a dictatorship, their instinct is to kind of crouch down beneath the parapets and to take cover. And they kind of look around and see, is anybody else saying anything? Is anybody else speaking out? Is anybody else resisting? You know, what's happened to them?
I think Beatrice must be congratulated for the bravery, for the fortitude that she has displayed. And therefore, where others will fail to treat, she has come forward.
I think every human being has fear at some stage. I've never not done a case because I'm afraid. No, I've never done that. I always feel that really, if I'm doing things the right way, following the rules, I ought not to fear, because I'm doing what everyone else does in their day-to-day working lives, and that it ought not to be dangerous for me to be doing what I took an oath to do.
She has been the victim of assaults by the police. And despite that, she has got up, dusted herself down, and carried on. That's the sort of bravery we want to see. That's exactly what we want to see in a democratic Zimbabwe.
I grew up really, you know, knowing what physical labor was like. And for that reason, I was determined that I was going to get out of the village rut. I knew that I didn't want to be selling tomatoes at the local market. I didn't want to be going to the stream to get water on my head. I was very, very clear that that wasn't going to be for me. And I was very clear it wasn't going to be for my sisters either, because I made it very clear to them that this is not where we are going. I didn't like wake up and say, I'm going to be a human rights lawyer, because, I mean, as I say, I didn't even know where the law would take me. I mean, at the beginning, it was more like, I want to get out of the village life. The stories you would hear from just ordinary villagers, that this is what happened to me because my husband was supporting the opposition. They came, they did this to me, they did, and the story was literally the same, from having your entire homestead burnt down, to a woman being traumatized, raped, and abused in a whole lot of other horrible ways because her husband was supporting the new party at the time. It was absolutely unbelievable, and it was like, are human beings doing this to each other?
Can we show you? I know you are clever. Can we show what you can do?
Within minutes, I had been manhandled by a group of about 6 men and 1 woman. They took me away in my night clothes, but I was so afraid of the unknown. I didn't know where I was. I was asked to remove my shoes. and the beating on the soles of my feet started. I was sitting on the floor and I was now being asked to raise my feet. I was really worried about the fact that I could be raped.
It was a very traumatic case, you know, especially during the period when we had no idea where she was. The relief that she was alive was immediately, you know, taken away by the behavior of those around her who just wouldn't allow her to have basic medical attention when it was so obvious she was needing it.
I think initially when she started to represent me, I just saw her as any other lawyer. But on the day that she had actually come to prison beforehand to say, would you be in a position to take the witness stand? Because I want you to take the witness stand. I saw a different side to this woman. You know, as I stood by the witness stand, you know, I could tell that she was speaking from the heart. And I could not believe that I saw tears streaming down her cheeks as she was cross-examining me.
And Beatrice Mtetwa and all she's doing to support the rule of law and standing up and fighting for those who are being crushed is a living, vivid example of why it's important that we have not just the rule of law, but lawyers prepared to sacrifice everything to make sure it happens.
Beatrice is a force. Without fear or favor, takes on, if she were a man, I would call her David. She takes on the Goliath of government and spares no effort to make government live up to its oath.
I could do it absolutely for free. I probably consider law more like religion, really. That's how much I believe in the law and how it can be an instrument of change in a whole number of things.
Yeah, Beatrice, she actually said, no, you can't quit. She actually gave herself as an example. We need, you know, to fight for this cause because it is our country and we have to do something for our country, for God and country.